Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really incredible piece of writing from an August 31st devotional, and its whole message revolves around this massive, super exciting promise. We made this explainer especially for you, taking some deep, historical words and bringing them right into our world today. So, let's jump right in.
So I want you to think about this for a second. Have you ever had to wait a really long time for something amazing? I'm talking about waiting for summer vacation to finally kick off after a super long school year, or maybe waiting to open that huge birthday present you just knew was hiding in the closet. You know that feeling, right? That bouncy, restless, almost impossible to sit still kind of feeling? Well, the text we're looking at today is actually about the ultimate wait. It's all about waiting for the absolute greatest event in the history of the world. And it turns out, people have been waiting for it for a very long time.
Section 1, a very special promise. Imagine you're away at a really tough, exhausting summer camp. You're tired, you're missing your family, and honestly, some days are just plain hard. Then, suddenly, you get a letter from home. And the letter says, hey, don't worry, I'm coming to pick you up soon and we're going to have the best time ever. That is exactly what this devotional is like. It's basically a comforting letter from God to his people, just reminding them that the hard times definitely won't last forever.
The devotional kicks off with a really powerful quote from the book of Isaiah in the Bible. It says, comfort ye, my people, saith your God. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned. Now I know exactly what you're probably thinking. That is some very old, fancy, 19th century sounding language, whereas like ye and iniquity aren't exactly things we're tossing around on the playground. But hiding right inside those big words is a beautiful, totally simple message.
Okay, let's dive into this and translate that fancy language into what it actually means for you and me right now. Warfare accomplished? That just means the hard times, the struggles, and those invisible battles we fight every single day are coming to an end. And iniquity pardoned simply means your mistakes are forgiven. You are wiped completely clean. It's a rock-solid promise that the difficult stuff is finishing and you are totally loved and forgiven.
Section 2, the end of sadness. Now we're looking at the triumphs of the future. Our source material points us towards something totally incredible, the absolute, total end of sadness. The author writes that God's people have been allowed to look past the trials of today and actually see the victories of tomorrow. It's this great reminder that no matter how bad a day you're having, it actually has an expiration date. Worldly sadness will eventually come to a complete and final end.
The text actually calls this amazing future destination the Promised Land. When that long warfare is finally accomplished, the redeemed, which means God's followers, will enter into this possession. Just imagine the safest, happiest, most wonderful place you can possibly think of, where Jesus brings ultimate deliverance and perfect rest. You don't have to worry about homework or bullies or being sick or ever feeling lonely again. That is exactly what the Promised Land represents here.
Let's look at exactly what the author promises will happen in this future of glory. First up, Jesus brings deliverance and rest. Second, the gates of paradise are opening wide to everyone who believes. But look at that third point. This is huge. Former things are forgotten. The text actually says that the trials and sufferings of this life will seem like nothingness. They literally won't even be remembered or come into mind. It's like having a magical eraser that completely cleans the chalkboard of all your bad memories. Just a totally clean slate.
Section 3, the invisible long battle. Because, well, we aren't quite there yet, are we? Right now, we're still dealing with shadows and turmoil. It can feel like we are right smack in the middle of a massive, invisible battle between good and evil. And honestly, sometimes those shadows can seem pretty dark.
But right in the middle of all those shadows, the author calls you and me something really cool. She calls us a fellow pilgrim. Now, a pilgrim isn't just someone from an old Thanksgiving story. By definition, a pilgrim is a person traveling on a long, important journey or adventure. When the text calls you a fellow pilgrim, it's inviting you to see yourself as an active adventurer on an epic quest. You aren't just sitting around waiting, you're actively traveling toward an incredible destination.
Let's trace our timeline and see how this all builds across human history. In the past, like ever since our first parents turned their steps from the Garden of Eden, the wait began. God's children have been watching and praying for thousands of years. In the present, which is today, we're still amidst the shadows and turmoil. But the future, which the text says is coming soon, is when the battle will have been fought and the victory won. The controversy of the ages is rapidly closing out.
Which brings us to Section 4, how to wait patiently and surviving the present.
Look, if there is one thing that is incredibly hard to do when you're on a great adventure, especially when you're, say, 10 years old and you know something awesome is coming, it's waiting. So, how do we actually survive the present part of our timeline? What does this devotional advise us to do while we wait for Jesus to appear?
And this brilliantly illustrates what our journey as a pilgrim is actually made of. It's a mix. A huge chunk of our journey, about 60%, is simply waiting patiently. You just have to have patience. But the other 40%, that's trusting the promise or having confidence. You can't just wait around feeling grumpy. You have to wait with active, confident hope that the promise is actually real.
The author reinforces this with another fantastic quote. It says, "Cast not away therefore your confidence, for ye have need of patience. For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come and will not tarry." Now, to not tarry is just an old school way of saying he will not be late. He's going to be right on time. So keep your hopes up, keep your confidence tight. You definitely have need of patience right now, but the Savior you are waiting for is absolutely coming. All right, Section 5, Walking the Narrow Path, as we look at our final steps. We know the promise, we know we're pilgrims on a grand adventure, and we know we've got to be patient. But what are the exact practical steps we need to take as we get closer to the end of this journey? The devotional leaves us with some very specific instructions for these final steps of our quest. So, the crucial point is this simple 3-step survival guide for us fellow pilgrims. Step 1, look up. That's the title of our devotional. It means let your faith continually increase. Keep your eyes focused on the goal and don't get distracted by the dirt at your feet. Step 2, keep your confidence. Don't throw away your trust just because the wait feels long. And step 3, walk the narrow path. Let your faith guide your choices every single day as you keep moving forward.
And where exactly does that narrow path lead? The text paints this stunning, awe-inspiring picture of our destination. It says, the path leads through the gates of the city into the great beyond, the wide, unbounded future of glory that is for the redeemed. That is what you're walking toward, a wide, unbounded future. No more limits, no more sadness, just a completely open, glorious universe waiting for those who keep their faith and patience.
So I want to leave you with this thought today, fellow pilgrim. Sometimes the shadows of this world are going to feel very dark, and the wait is going to feel really, really long. But when those days come, will you remember to look up? Will you remember that the gates of that amazing city are waiting for you and that the victory is already guaranteed? Keep your confidence, practice your patience, and enjoy the adventure. Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.